Evening, my little angel. Today is December 30th, one day left until the new year. Let's talk about tea parties in this last story time of the solar year. Tea and tea ceremony for the Japanese is an art form that had existed for a long time. To this day, over 9 generations, 900 years old. According to Japanese legend, around 1141 to 1215, a Japanese monk named Isai went to China to study Buddhism. When he returned, he brought some tea seeds planted in a temple yard. Later, he wrote the book Kissa Yojoki, which recorded everything related to the pleasure of drinking tea. Gradually, the relaxing effects and unique appeal of tea flavor have attracted Japanese people to drink tea over time. They also combined drinking tea with the Zen spirit of Buddhism to enhance the art of enjoying tea, developing this art into the famous Japanese tea ceremony today with its history, meaning, and rituals. But those things belong to the adult world and stayed outside the Moe school. The tea party mentioned in today's story time among Tome school members is a small, cozy tea drinking session without any ceremony. In Vietnam today, we drink coffee in our free time or at the end of the year for the same purpose, to review the past or to close the gap created by not being together for a long time. Or like in today's 2 Tottochan chapters, the reunion during chaos, to see the happiness we once had together. And as always, let's return to the childhood with Tottochan. Rocky disappears and the tea party. Many soldiers had died, food had become scarce, and everyone was living in fear. But summer came as usual, and the sun shone on the nations that were winning as well as on the nation that weren't. Tottochan had returned to Tokyo from her uncle's house in Kamakura. There was no camping now at Tomoe and no more lovely visits to hot spring resort. It seemed as the children would never be able to enjoy a summer vacation as happy as that one. Tottochan always spent the summer with her cousins at the house in Kamakura, but it had been different this year. An older boy, a relative who used to tell them scary ghost stories, had been caught up and had gone to the war, so there were no more ghost stories. And her uncle, who used to tell them so much exciting tales about his life in America, they never knew whether they were true or not, was at the front. His name was Tsuchi Taguchi, and he was a top-ranking cameraman. After serving as bureau chief of Nihon News in New York and as forest representative of American Metro News, he was better known as Shu Taguchi. He was Daddy's elder brother, though Daddy had taken his mother's family name in order to perpetuate it. Otherwise, Daddy's name could have been Taguchi too. Films Uncle Tsuchi had shot, such as The Battle of Rebel, were being shown at movie theaters. But all his scenes from the front were his films, so Tottochan's aunts and cousins were worried about him. War photographers always showed the troop in the dangerous positions, so they had to be ahead of soldiers to show them advancing. That was what Tottochan's grown-up relatives had been saying. Even the beach at Kamakura somehow seemed forlorn this summer. Yet Chan was funny, though, in spite of it all. He was Uncle Tsuchi's elder son. Yet Chan was about a year younger than Tottochan. The children all slept together under one last mosquito net, and before he went to sleep, Yat-chan used to shout, "Long live the Emperor!" and then felt like a soldier who had been shot and pretended to be dead. He could do it over and over again. The funny thing was that whenever he did this, he invariably walked in his sleep and fell off the porch, causing a grass first. Tottochan's mother had stayed in Tokyo with Daddy, who had work to do. Now that summer vacation was over, Totto-chan had been brought back to Tokyo by the sister of the boy who used to tell ghost stories. As usual, on arriving home, the first thing Totto-chan did was look for Rocky, but he was nowhere to be found. He wasn't in the house and he wasn't in the garden, nor was he in the greenhouse where Daddy grew orchids. Totto-chan was worried, since Rocky usually came out to meet her long before he even reached the house. Totto-chan went out to the house and down the road, calling his name, but there was no sign of those beloved eyes, ears, or tongue. Totto-chan thought he might have gone back while she was out looking for him, so she hurriedly ran home to see, but he wasn't there. "Where's Rocky?" she asked Mother. Mother must have been known Totto-chan was running everywhere looking for Rocky, but she didn't say a word. "Where's Rocky?" Totto-chan asked again, pulling Mother's skirt. Mother seemed to find it difficult to reply. "He disappeared," she said. Totto-chan refused to believe it. How could he have disappeared? "When?" she asked, looking Mother in the face. Mother seemed at a loss for words. "Just after you left for Kamakura," she began sadly. Then she hurriedly continued. "We looked for him. We went everywhere and we asked everybody, but we couldn't find him. I've been wondering how to tell you. I'm terribly sorry." Then the truth dawned on Totto-chan. Rocky must have died. Mother doesn't want me to be sad, she thought, but Rocky's dead. It was pretty clear to Totto-chan. Up till now, no matter how long Totto-chan was gone, Rocky never went far from the house. He always knew she would come back. Rocky could never go off like that without telling me. She thought to herself. It was a strong conviction. But Totto-chan did not discuss it with Mother. She knew how Mother must feel. I wonder where he went," was all she said, keeping her eyes lowered. It was all she could do to say that much, and then she ran upstairs to her room. Without Rocky, the house didn't seem like their house at all. When she got to her room, she tried hard not to cry and thought about it again. She wondered whether she had done anything mean to Rocky, anything that could make him want to leave. Never tease animals. The headmaster Kobayashi always told the children at Tomoe, "It's cruel to betray animals when they trust you. Don't make a dog beg and then not give it anything. The dog won't trust you anymore and might develop a bad nature." Totto-chan always obeyed these rules. She had never deceived Rocky. She had done nothing wrong that she could think of. Just then, Totto-chan noticed something clinging to the leg of her teddy bear on the floor. She had managed not to cry until then, but when she saw it, she burst into tears. It was a little tuft of Rocky's light brown hair. It must have come off when two of them rolled about on the floor, playing the morning she left for Kamakura. With those few little German Shepherd hairs clutching in her hand, she cried and cried. Her tears and her sobbing just couldn't stop. First Yasuaki-chan, now Rocky. Totto-chan had lost another friend. Ryo-chan, the janitor at Tomoe, whom all the children liked so much, was finally called up. He was a grown-up, but they all called him by his childish nickname, Ryo-chan. Ryo-chan was a guardian angel who always came to rescue and help when anyone was in trouble. Ryo-chan could do anything. He never said much and only smiled, but he always knew just what to do. When Totto-chan fell in a cesspool, it was Ryo-chan who came to her rescue immediately and washed her off without so much as a grumble. "Let's give Ryo-chan a rousing, sending off tea party," said the headmaster. "A tea party?" Green tea is drunk often during the day in Japan, but is not associated with entertaining. Except ceremonial powdered tea, a different beverage altogether. A tea party could be something new at Tomoe, but the children liked the idea. They loved doing things they'd never done before. The children didn't know it, but on purpose, the headmaster had invented a new word, Sawakai, tea party, instead of the usual Sobesukai, farewell party. A farewell party sounded too sad, and the older children could understand that it might really be farewell if Ryo-chan got killed and didn't come back. But nobody had ever been in a tea party before, so they were all excited. After school, the headmaster Kobayashi had the children arrange the desk in a circle in the assembly hall, just as lunchtime. When they were all sitting in a circle, he gave each other a single thin strip of roasting dried squid to have with their green tea. Even that was a great luxury in those wartime days. Then he sat down next to Ryo-chan and placed a glass before him with a little sake in it. It was a ration obtainable only for those living for the front. "This is the first tea party at Tomoe," said the headmaster. "Let's all have a good time. If there's anything you'd like to say to Ryo-chan, do so. You can say things to each other too, not just to Ryo-chan, one by one, standing in the middle." It was not only the first time they had ever eaten dried squid at Tomoe, but the first time Ryo-chan had sat out with them, and the first time they had seen Ryo-chan sipping sake. One after the other, the children stood up facing Ryo-chan and spoke to him. The first children just told him to care for himself and not get sick. Then Mikita, who was in Tottochan's class, said, "Next time I go home to the country, I'll bring you back some funeral dumplings." Everyone laughed. It was well over a year since Mikita first told them about the dumplings he had once had at a funeral and how good they were. He promised to bring them some whenever the opportunity arose, but he never did it. When the headmaster heard Mikita mention funeral dumplings, it gave him quite a start. Normally, mentioning funeral dumplings at such a time would have been considered bad luck. But Mikita said it so innocently, just wanting to share something that tastes so good with his friends that the headmaster laughed with the others. Ryo-chan laughed heartily too. After all, Mikita had been telling him for ages that he could bring him some. Then Oyakin got up and promised Ryo-chan that he could become the best horticulturist in Japan. Oyakin was the son of the proprietor of an enormous nursery garden in Todoroki. Keiko Aoki got up next and said nothing. She just giggled shyly as usual, bowed and returned to her seat. Whereupon Totto-chan rushed forward and said for her, "The chickens at Keiko-chan can fly. I saw them the other day." Then Amadera-kun spoke. "If you find any injured cats or dogs," he said, "bring them to me. I'll fix them up." Takahashi-kun was so small he crawled under his desk to get the center of the circle and was there as quick as a wink. He said in a cheerful voice, "Thank you, Ryo-chan. Thank you for everything, for all sorts of things." Aiko Shaisho stood up next. She said, "Ryo-chan, thank you for bandaging me up that time I fell down. I'll never forget." Aiko Shaisho's great uncle was a famous apparattogo of the Russo-Japanese War. And Asuko Shaisho, another relative of hers, was a celebrated poetess of Emperor Meiji's court, but Aiko never mentioned them. Miyo-chan, the headmaster daughter, knew Ryo-chan the best. Her eyes were full of tears. "Take care of yourself, won't you, Ryo-chan? Let's write to each other." Totto-chan had so many things she wanted to say she didn't know where to begin, so she just said, "Even though you're gone, Ryo-chan, we'll have a tea party every day." The headmaster laughed, and so did Ryo-chan. All the children laughed too, even Totto-chan herself. But Totto-chan's words came true the very next day. Whenever there was time, The children could form a group and play tea party. Instead of dried squid, they could suck things like tree bark, and they shipped glasses of water instead of tea, sometimes pretending it was sake. Someone would say, "I'll bring you some funeral dumplings," and they all laughed. Then they talked and tell each other their thoughts. Even though there wasn't anything to eat, the tea parties were fun. The tea party was a wonderful farewell gift that Kuroyanagi left the children. And although none of them had the faintest idea then, it was, in fact, the last game they were to play at the moe before the children parted and went their separate ways. Kuroyanagi went off on the Tokyo train. His departure coincided with the arrival of American aeroplanes. They finally appeared in the skies above Tokyo and began dropping bombs every day. Today's story time is over. I wish my little love a good night's sleep and the last days of the year with warm reunion tea parties with the people you love. Kiss you long on your forehead. See you again next time.